convenience isn't the only factor of going out to eat anymore. I think for a long time, that was what a lot of people chose to do.
I think we've hit a point right now in this country where people are more conscious of everything that eating out encapsulates. I've had conversations with legitimate chefs that get very offended when some of us in barbecue call ourselves chefs. You've also got new people walking in the door every day, and you want to make sure that they're blown away in every aspect that first time, so they come back a 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th time.
I personally, as someone who has a background in craftsmanship with wood, love what you said there about being able to call what you're creating craft. This is why Montgomery's worth fighting for. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Single Tree Nation. I am Derry without Charlie today, still down for the count. And so by the time this comes out, all should be back to normal and he'll be feeling well. So best wishes to him. Want to welcome Cooper from Bar A Barbecue with us today, Montgomery, Texas. I almost said Madison and offended somebody. Cooper, how you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. How are you? I appreciate y'all inviting me on today.
We are stoked to have you here. We made a joke before you came on. Just about everybody from Texas that we've ever tried to book has stiffed us. So we're glad that you decided to jump in here with us and see what we can get into today.
All social media is good, man. I take it all.
Yeah, well, we try to. I don't do a ton of deep diving into our guest, but I do enough to where I can actually have a conversation. Y'all's social media is, I love the authenticity. I genuinely think my favorite part is when you just ask, hey, are we taping? Like, is this, it makes it feel like something got missed one time and you're going to make sure we're not going to ever miss it again.
We do YouTube as well. And I've been burned several times where the camera's not been actually recording or the audio is not on. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to ask every time, are we on?
I love it. Well, it's born out of an authentic presence, and I absolutely love it. Hey, listen, go ahead, take a short time here. Give us your elevator pitch. Tell me who you are, what you got, and we'll jump in from there.
Yeah, Cooper Abercrombie. I own and operate Bar A Barbecue in Montgomery, Texas, about an hour northwest of Houston. And we're a Texas Monthly top 50 restaurant, top 100 restaurant in the Houston area. And we serve Texas craft barbecue.
Well, Texas craft barbecue, that is a name in and of itself. I think barbecue is one of those things that's so regionally developed, but everybody knows what Texas barbecue is. Or at least in my mind, everybody knows what Texas barbecue is. And I think that I love the part about just keeping it simple. It's you know what to do. You do the basics well and keep on coming back for more. So
I'm not smart enough to do it any other way, man. We try and keep the menu small, execute it well, and just honor what we can while still trying to evolve in a pretty competitive market.
I would say a very competitive market. How many? Do you know how many barbecue restaurants are in Texas? Ballpark?
I have no idea. I mean, there's 5 within 5 miles of me.
Wow. Okay. So it is saturated. Like,
yeah.
Us Tennessee guys think there's a lot here in our little small town. And, we got the national chains, we got the local guys and that kind of stuff. So I don't think there's anywhere though, but there's 5 within 5 miles. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. It's like a donut shop, man. There's one in every corner around here.
Absolutely. Hey, one of the social media posts that you made recently, and it was probably the one that really piqued my interest the most. I believe it shows yourself hand cutting y'all's pickles. And the caption that goes along with it is something to the effect of, all your friends are telling you just buy it from Cisco. Nobody will know, but you'll know. First of all, thank you for that, because I think so many restaurants do have a tendency to kind of default back to, I can order this. But when you're choosing those elements that can be house made, what part of that is like, hell yeah, that's what I'm going for, versus I want to stick it to the man, versus this is just the pride that I take in what I do?
And it's how much time do we have? Because this one kind of leads to another one of my kind of core things that I really believe. You know, craft. I'm gonna do the long-winded answer. Screw it. So you're gonna hear a lot of me talk today. But anyway,
Good. That's the point.
I'm a Texas high school football coach's son. Okay. All I've ever known my entire life is long days, long hours, put in the work. You get what you put into it. And football, like the restaurant industry, I believe there's a lot of crossover, a lot of similarities. I don't take the term coach lightly. Just because you can accept money from a bunch of parents and go travel around the country with a baseball team doesn't make you a coach. That's a term that's earned, not given. Just as the term chef is, chef is earned, not given. And I am not a chef by any means, but I'm just making a point here. There, just because you call yourself craft, if you're not making your pickles, if you're not making your sides from scratch, if you're not making your breads, your rolls, I mean, if you're just buying this stuff already pre-made, throw in some garlic powder, black pepper, and season all in there, and I'm calling it scratch, BS, man. That's the easy way out, and that's not craft. Now, I will say this: I have nothing against that. There is a great business model. It makes money. There's a lot of places that have done that for a lot of years, but you cannot put the term craft in front of your name if that's the route you're going to go. I hear all over social media, all over the news right now that, restaurants are closing. It's because the cost of living is too high, this and that. People aren't eating out. BS. There's restaurants all over this country in every single town that are jam-packed every single night of the week. People are still eating out. They're still spending money. I don't think there's less money to spend. I think we've hit a point right now in this country where people are more conscious of everything that eating out encapsulates: the ambiance, the guest experience, the customer service, and the food. I think for a long time, you could just have great food and get away with it and still be jam-packed, and the customer service could lack, or the ambiance could. I don't think people are willing to go spend $150 anymore to feed a family of four, and not all four of those are going to meet their expectations. So I think the bar has been raised several notches over the last several years, that some restaurants are not able to hit that mark anymore for a bajillion reasons, and sometimes it's not in their control. There are some restaurants that just flat out had some bad luck and it didn't work out, and that happens every single day. But I'm just not one that wants to play in the game of making excuses. I see too many places that are busy, that are doing it the right way, that are excelling in this industry, for me to say, well, it's a slow day because of politics or the economy or whatever, man. I think that's the easy way out of this whole thing.
I saw announced today that there's a nationwide restaurant chain that's going to close 500 something locations. And they were given 3 or 4 reasons along what you were saying. The customer's not buying anymore. The dollar's not buying whatever, blah, blah, blah. And one of the first comments to it was, or maybe a business model of crappy food getting more expensive and poor customer service just doesn't fit us all anymore. And there comes a point, much to what you were saying, convenience isn't the only factor of going out to eat anymore. I think for a long time, that was what a lot of people chose to do. Well, we're too busy tonight, let's just pick something up, that kind of thing. Now it's become a destination. Now it's become a point of, I know where I want to go spend my dollar. And I personally, as someone who has a background in craftsmanship with wood and being able to see what I create, love what you said there about being able to call what you're creating craft, and putting your time, putting your effort, putting the specific touches in being able to do that. So Kudos to you. Well done. Because like you said, there are plenty of restaurants that are still jam-packed. There are plenty that are still doing all that they want to do, making plenty of money and income and providing for all their employees. So it can't just be a fact that, well, we don't have the money or we don't have the clientele or the politics or the dollar or whatever. So, excuse me. We've got a segment that we do in every show called A Table for Two. And we've had some really good answers to this, but I get excited each week when we ask this. If you could have dinner with anyone, past, present, future, who would that be and why would you choose them?
Probably, and this answer changes probably every month. It seems like there's someone else I kind of get fixated on. Probably Chef Sean Brock out of Nashville right now. He's kind of, I've worked with some of the guys that have worked under him, and every one of them that I've worked with has been just an incredible human being, an incredibly talented chef. So I would like to be able to sit down and have a meal with that guy and pick his brain and just understand kind of how he sees hospitality, from, you know, the food to every little detail in between.
You mentioned that you wouldn't call yourself a chef. Clearly you have culinary skills. At what point does a skill level reach, hey, I have earned that name? Or the caveat there, is there enough self-drive in someone like yourself that I'm never going to attain that because I'm always looking to better myself, and you don't want to just settle for getting comfortable?
There's several factors. I'm not a label guy. I don't believe in labels. I don't care. But two, I just think the guys that you legitimately have earned that title are able to turn, I mean, there's just a level to those guys, you know. I've had conversations with legitimate chefs that get very offended when some of us in barbecue call ourselves chefs. And I don't really have a reason to counter their point. I kind of agree, you know.
Sure.
Just because we can do 3 or 4 things really well, I don't think that makes you a chef. I think those guys have mastered so many different techniques, so many different cooking styles and variations of food that some of us in barbecue have never even dreamed of doing. That doesn't mean that you're not an extremely talented, artist to a degree in barbecue. Right. There's a lot of that. But again, and this is my opinion. I am wrong a lot of times. So, you know, I don't want anyone to get offended with me. That's just how I see it. I kind of rambled. I'm sorry. I forgot the main point.
No, you're good. But you're good. I was just saying, but there's a personal drive there where, you know, some guys have a distinguishing mark there or whatever. And like, is there a point when you would ever say, yeah, you know what? I am a chef. I own a restaurant. I can cook. I can do this. I can whatever. Or is that the personal drive that you hold where, sure, some people have that, and it's like you said, you're not a big label guy, but it always allows you the opportunity to still go for that next drive, the next level, the next step up.
Yeah, I mean, we view everything as it's never good enough. It can always be improved. And full disclosure, I haven't cooked anything in this restaurant in 12 months. I have an incredible team that is extremely, extremely talented, that have come from all over the country. We've got guys from Arkansas, from Oregon, from California. We have an incredible team. And I just signed the paychecks now, I think, in most of the days. But
sure.
Not anyone on our staff and no one within my organization will ever be a part of this organization if they ever do get satisfied with what we're doing.
Right.
We all know that it can be improved. We haven't cooked a brisket the same way here in 3 years of doing this. We are always tweaking techniques, always trying to find ways to get better, to get more efficient. And, you know, my job now is just to make us as, you know, a healthy, sustainable business that can continue to grow.
Where is the line between being able to be consistent and serve the same thing day in and day out versus tweaking that recipe or tweaking that serving model to better the restaurant, and how do they balance each other?
It's a fine line, when we tweak something, we've been working on a Caesar kale slaw for 3.5 months now. It's not even on the menu, but we work on it about twice a week. We dedicate Tuesdays and Fridays to working on that recipe. And that's generally how we work on stuff is we'll kind of spend several weeks in the background making small batches of a certain item to tweak it here or there. When it comes to proteins, maybe we'll set this one brisket in one specific spot that we want to try this technique with it. Um, it's just you're constantly tweaking in the background, and sometimes you have to learn that you can't just want to break something to fix it and be the savior. You got to just come sometimes accept that something's really, really good, and there's only minute little efficiency details you can fix for that. Always trying to tweak a recipe just to break it and fix it is kind of an egotistical thing that I've had to fight myself. When you step out of the kitchen and into more of the overview of running the business, you kind of lose that fire sometimes where you're like, man, I really missed being the guy that was always cooking that great item and putting, I was the one doing it. Um, so there is, like I said, there's definitely a fine line between tweaking something and being consistent daily, and also just breaking shit to break shit and say you broke something and fix it.
Right. Yeah. There's, the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You don't have to break it to create a job. So you sometimes just, you are where you are, and that makes the most sense.
No, but you know this too. I mean, in hospitality, you have to somewhat evolve. You have
Absolutely.
to constantly get better because not only do you have to make sure your current clientele is happy and seeing that you're improving, it's just getting better. You want to be known as the place that gets better every time you go. But you've also got new people walking in the door every day, and you want to make sure that they're blown away in every aspect that first time, so they come back a 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th time. That one customer, that one new customer is worth several $1,000s for us a year if we do everything the right way. We do our job the correct way.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Give me your background in barbecue. How did you fumble your way into this? Was it a goal from the beginning? Was it just backyards with granddad? Where'd that go?
Me and my wife, I'm born and raised here in Montgomery. Picked my first real big boy job. Me and my wife, we moved out to North Carolina and lived out there for a couple of years with my sales job, and kind of bummed around over there. Kind of started eating more barbecue when I was out there because, again, there's barbecue everywhere in that area. It's all pork, And I regret now not going to some of the great places out there. I just wasn't into barbecue that much. It was just food to me then. But when we finally moved back to Texas, the first thing you do when you buy a house in Texas is you have to purchase a smoker. It's in every house agreement.
It's in the contract there.
And so I bought a Traeger like everybody. First thing you do is you go to YouTube and you watch a Matt Pittman video, you watch a Malcolm Reed video and how to cook a brisket, and made just awful brisket for a long time. Not those guys' faults, just I sucked at it. And I kind of it was one of those deals that was really, really hard. I couldn't figure it out. Just kind of got enamored with it. And every free moment I had, I was, leaving my sales calls a little early to go home and try and cook another brisket and try and figure this thing out. And one day my wife was like, hey, we can't just keep cooking brisket to cook brisket. You got to figure this thing out, So we started chopping up and selling 1 pound freezer packed portions to all the moms in our little neighborhood that were just taking it and reheating it for kids' lunches throughout the week. And that allowed me the avenue to kind of experiment and get better at it.
Sure.
Because it got to the point where we were selling like 100 pounds a week and just chop brisket to these moms. And about that time is when I started seeing kind of that underground California barbecue pop-up game starting to kind of show itself on Instagram.
Right.
With Moose Craft and Bert Backman, those guys, and Trudy's Underground Barbecue, those guys. And I thought, hey, there's a brewery down the road. We can go set up over there and start trying to do pop-ups. And man, before you know it, blink of an eye, we just kind of kept getting better and better, I guess. And people kept showing up, and we go from a tent to a trailer to the brick and mortar, and brick and mortar one to brick and mortar two here this year. So it just kind of keeps growing.
You said brick and mortar too. Is that coming up in 2026, or you just have finalized that in 2025?
We should be in that building by before football season. They're
Nice.
actually saying May. I'm not holding my breath. I'm saying September is my goal.
I got you. Well, good for you. Hey, we're going to take a real quick break, and we'll come back and jump into some more Bar A barbecue.
Most brands want something clean, polished, quite frankly, forgettable. Dead Meat Society is for the ones that just don't quite fit the mold. For the late nights, that meaty perfection, the hunger inside. Join the society, stay soft. deadmeatsociety.com. Go check it out.
Welcome back, guys. I am here with Cooper from Bar A Barbecue in Montgomery, Texas. Wonderful story so far going on. I saw a couple of things on your social media page, and it kind of drove me to thinking, and I wanted to get, what's the most unique meat that you've personally ever smoked?
We did so I got to cook with Max with Texarkana Barbecue a long time ago. And James McFarland with Nomad Barbecue at the time. And we did a whole goat in a 500-gallon Moberg, and we served it with a reduced red wine sauce, because Max, being Italian, everything they do has wine in it. And
Absolutely.
It was absolutely awful, but it was a very, very fun experience.
You know, we've asked that question to a handful of guys over the couple of years that we've been doing this. And when we ask about those weird meats that we've tried to barbecue or we've tried to smoke, nobody ever says it turned out well. We always have a learning experience, or, hey, I'll never do that again. So I find that unique. I had hopes for a goat. I don't know that I've ever personally done that, but I held out.
Yeah, I would try it again, but I don't know about the red wine with the goat. That was not an combination I enjoyed.
I read a quote that you had typed out, and kind of touching back on to the reason you make your stuff house made. You had said, "I'm just a kid from Texas trying to make something to be proud of." And with my background in construction and now as a teacher, I've oftentimes tried to get kids to understand that element of pride in self and what you produce makes sometimes the biggest difference of what is being put out there. As just a, quote, kid from Texas trying to make something to be proud of, how much drive does that give you when you set out each morning and saying, look, I want to do this and I want to do it right, and hell or high water, this is what we're going to get done?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't wake up every day, with this a passion with what you're about to do for the day, what you're creating, you haven't found what you're put on this earth to do. And I don't know if selling barbecue is what I'm put on this earth to do, but I do believe leading people and creating a culture and something for a city to be proud of is what I was put on this earth to do. And being from this town and growing up here, I've always had a goal of finding a way to put this city on a national map. And I think we're starting to make a little bit of headway with some of the stuff we're doing and some of the other concepts that, we get to unveil here in the near future. So it's like I said, we've always said one of our core values is just always be an asset for the city of Montgomery. So that's what we strive to do every day.
When you moved back from North Carolina and you kind of set foot back in home again, what's that first element that felt like home and you thought, this is what I don't want to lose, or this is what I want to promote, other than obviously the barbecue or what you want to do there? What part really drove you to, this is why Montgomery's worth fighting for?
It's just, it's just the memories. Everyone has those just nostalgic smells and sights and landmarks and roads and street signs and restaurants that they will, the day when they're 150 years old, they'll never forget what any of those senses were about that hometown, what home was. And when we first moved back, we didn't move right back to Montgomery, and we actually came up to Montgomery to see one of our favorite red dirt bands playing at the wine festival out here. And that was the first time I'd stepped back in probably 10 years. And I was just like, I'm not leaving this town again. We're here. We just bought this house. I don't care. Put it on the market. We're finding something out here.
It's funny. My wife and I bought a house. It's coming up on 2 years ago, and we were in it for right at, I think it was 13 months. And we're like, this ain't the spot. Like we just knew. And we moved, and from a personal financial deal, it was kind of all a wash, and everybody's like, real estate's always a good, and we didn't care. And it turns out the place we did wind up in, it feels like home. It's in the same town. Like we didn't do a big change or anything, but it feels right. And like we knew we landed where we were supposed to. And sometimes just coming back home does that to you. I'm sure there's still memories of my grandmother's house. That's where my hometown is. And like you said, those smells, those sights. And I had the opportunity recently to go back up there, and there's so much that's changed, and there's so much that is still just backwood Tennessee that I recall as a kid. And those memories of 30 years just come flooding all back all of a sudden. And it's worth it every single, I'm gonna get teared up. I'm an emotional guy. So, I'm going to try not to, but, well done on that part for coming back home and kind of wanting to be a solid foundation for Montgomery, because you can't erase those memories and you can't change them. And not that you want to. I'm the person, like, I'm trying to instill, me and my son still go hunt on my grandmother's property. And
that's awesome.
For him, it's just like, it's my great grandmother's property. For me, it's where I grew up learning this stuff. It's where, and now I'm getting to pass that on to him. And,
yeah, but when he's 40 with a family, he'll remember every square inch of that dirt and that
absolutely
up and every little bit of it. So
absolutely.
It's the stuff you don't care about when you're that age, but when you get to 35, 40, you're like, God damn, that was a great time.
He doesn't know it. I have a favorite picture, and he was 20 at the time. And now he's talking marriage. So that's a whole nother crazy thing, because I wasn't prepared for that as a dad. But we actually both took our first deer on the same day, and I'd been hunting my whole life and never took one. I've seen them, let them walk, this kind of thing. And December of 24, we both took our deer that day, and I'm just sitting here. If that picture ever gets lost, I will lose my mind. That's one of the few I still have printed. It's not on my phone. But like you said, we'll know all that property. We'll know the space. We'll know, and that core memory there that you just can't get away from. And to me, that's what hometown is. And so when you're like, hey, I went back hometown, that's exactly what that is. And I think we just need more of that, more people that love their roots, love where they're from, love what they're about.
If everybody would go back to their hometown, or if you had the opportunity, and just invest in it. Don't be the guy that just calls out the problems. Get into town, invest in it, open a business, do something. Quit. I mean, you can hire a monkey to point out a problem. Go in there and fix it. Go in there and be part of the actual solution, and be the change that you want to see in your community. And it'll make a world of difference all over the place.
We've got a segment that we call Mac or Beans. And so it's a this or that. And the first part is just the title of the segment. You go to the barbecue shop, you've ordered your protein, whatever your personal protein of choice is. Are you getting the mac and cheese with that, or are you getting the barbecue back beans?
Mac and cheese. Can't stand sweet beans.
Can't stand sweet beans. All right. Well,
No.
I kind of hoped, I'm not going to lie, that was your answer. I saw recently that you've brought the mac and cheese back to y'all's restaurant full time. I don't consider myself a huge macaroni and cheese fan. I could come to Montgomery, Texas for that macaroni and cheese. It looked that good. I mean, you did a great job with that. I don't know who's knocking that around, but well done, sir.
I'm not a big mac and cheese guy either, but man, it's the one thing that everybody asks for, and you gotta at some point you gotta give in and just give the people what they want.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, the other half of that is I saw that one of your guys is absolutely knocking out some ribeye steaks, and
Yes,
I'm not a ribeye cut fan myself, but holy cow, that looked right. But on the heels of that, then I see that you guys are rocking, I wrote down a pork steak.
yes.
If you're given that choice, you going to go for that ribeye that your guy's making, or you going to go for that pork steak you're knocking out?
I love our head pitmaster with my whole heart, Alec. And those ribeyes are fantastic, but those pork steaks are, man, if I could stop selling brisket and just sell pork steaks for a lot of reasons, it would be great. But I truly think those are one of the best things we put out.
Is that somewhat offensive in Texas that pork is that good, or is it just?
I don't care. They can get over it. It's that good. I'll die on that hill.
I tell you, I watched your description of that, and when I kind of hung up on, I think you said you cut them like 1.5 inches thick, and I was like, this guy is absolutely crushing.
Oh, they're
that.
almost like a pork roast. I mean, they're huge.
Well, not having tried it, you got a fan in me. So I've never been to Texas, but I feel like I need to make a trip just to be able to authenticate some of these things that we've had on as people discuss. So very, very well done. I'm excited for that. When you said you and your wife, she was like, hey, you guys start doing something to afford this brisket. You can't just keep buying them. How much of spousal support when it comes to a hospitality type business, whether it's restaurant, service, whatever, because she knows the hours, she knows the background, she knows what that's going to take. I often refer to Charlie, our co-host, and he's the one that actually owns the restaurant. I'll tell him he's the owner, but I saw his boss that day. And obviously I'm referring to his wife, and she's a very sweet lady, but she knows the restaurant sometimes, I think, better than he does. How much does that support mean when you know that you've got a big thing going on? You got a big event, you've got XYZ, where she's in your corner and that takes off?
Oh, she never really held me back at all. She was always kind of pushing me forward with it. She was definitely apprehensive, leaving a great sales career to go make no money running a restaurant. Why would you do that? But no, she's, I'm thankful every day that she's in my corner and on my side. So without a doubt, she's an integral part of everything about Bar A. She started out just doing baked goods for us, and then we taught her how to run the cash register and the sides and the garnish, and then eventually cut. And she's an incredible cutter. I'd put her up against anybody in the state when it comes to building a tray.
Nice.
She's ultra talented, and now we're fortunate enough to have enough catering business that we actually need a body full time. So she just handles our catering and events and handles all of that business now.
Do you find that the catering aids in what you're able to do with the brick and mortar, or does it sometimes feel like it's operated as a whole separate business?
My bookkeeper would love for me to say it's a separate business and just make everything a lot cleaner. But it kind of all goes into the same account right now. So as of now, it's under one house, but it definitely, hospitality, you've got to have several streams of income. That's why we spend so much time on social media and our merchandise. And, we got to have a lot of different ways to bring in money. And catering is just another faucet that we can turn on. And, when counter sales are a little bit slower, it's slower time of the year. Generally, catering seems to be a busier time of the year. So they kind of tend to offset each other. And the real magic on the P&L happens when the counter sales are up and the catering, is popping off too. So um, it it's a whole on beast in itself. It's something that I stay completely out of because I cannot stand wedding planners and event coordinators. Are some of the most just awful people to work with. I don't know of any what a better way to put it, but
I
man,
was
they
just going
are
to say they're opinionated that way.
good Lord, man. They are tough, and I have terrible biting my tongue at times, so I stay completely out of that realm and let her handle it.
But sometimes knowing your own limits there and letting somebody else take care of that and step in is one of the best things you can do. So
I am, if nothing else, I am self-aware.
exactly. And there is no shame in that. You brought up social media. And I'm always interested in, hospitality. Are you running that yourself, or is that in-house, or do y'all have guys that come out? Because I got to tell you, for what y'all are doing, at least your Instagram, that's the part that I'm most comfortable with and tend to spend some time on. Y'all are doing a fantastic job. And I'm always curious as to who has farmed that out, who keeps it in local, and how y'all seek taking care of that out, or taking care of that, and what you're hoping to get out of that.
Yeah, we've never spent much money on Google ads or marketing, so social media was something that I really put a heavy focus on. It's the cheapest way to market yourself.
Absolutely.
So we take a lot of pride in it. I've got a lot of time invested into learning it and growing it, and I just recently passed it off to a company actually out of Australia that I met through some friends of mine, and they while I still produce the content, they help me brainstorm ideas for content, and we kind of have more of a plan now with what we want to post, why we want to post it, what captions we want to use, what trends we want to hop on, what we don't want to hop on, because some stuff doesn't really fit the brand. So you got to kind of stay within a reasonable track on kind of who you are, what you're targeting. We're making a big push right now with a lot of our baked goods because, full disclosure, they're just a very, very profitable item within our realm.
Sure.
So a lot of our content is scheduled and built around some of those baked goods. And our barbecue classes, again, very, very profitable thing for our business. So we're finding ways to use social media where it actually is producing income for us versus just a way to just market that, hey, we're a barbecue restaurant. And while I still produce the content, they edit it for me, they get it scheduled for me, they handle, replying to the comments, the DM, stuff like that. And they kind of flag me on when I need to step in and answer something, but it's just
cool.
There's a lot I got to do, and they help me kind of narrow down some of that list for me.
Well, I think that's important, where you can still trust them to you put your touch on it and not just have it become so generic that it's not representing Bar A barbecue. One thing that I think goes hand in hand with the social media, and maybe this is just an outsider looking in, I'm always amazed at y'all's ability to make and build merch. And I tell you the thing that jumped out at me, because I'm impressed that any smaller or 1 or 2 or 3 unit restaurant chain or company or group can always put their logo or their name on everything. But it's when y'all start getting creative. And there was one that jumped out for me on your social media page. It was Post Oak and Diet Coke. What's the source on that? Was it a joke? Was it something that you knew just would take off, or is that a personal reflection? And how does that become a t-shirt where you're going to throw that out there to the world?
I'm not into drugs, not into alcohol, not into sugary sweets or anything like that. But man, Diet Coke, I have a problem with Diet Coke. Whatever they find out about aspartame, I'm gonna have a lot of issues somewhere down the road.
Okay,
I'll take the chances, man. I've generally always have a Diet Coke with me, and obviously Post Oak is the wood we smoke. And we were messing around in the smokehouse one day, and a buddy came by, and I think I ended up saying the 2 lines together, and I was like, man, we got to put that on a shirt now. and called up our merch people and like, hey, print the shirts. Let's go.
When I was scrolling your page, obviously y'all got a ton of content, a lot of food stuff, and a lot of things related. But the moment that shirt popped up, I thought, man, these guys, the barbecue community as a whole, just has a unique knack for finding their own. And sometimes I wonder if that's what makes the barbecue community so unique, is your ability to find your own. Because even like you said, you've got a ton of guys that are around you that are barbecue restaurants, barbecue sales, barbecue whatever, and trying to differentiate yourself in a world that can sometimes feel so overly saturated. I think the social media, like you had mentioned before, makes that a little easier, makes it able to throw yourself out there, get your word out. But the way y'all can market and the way that y'all can kind of come up with these taglines and just the merch line, it's something to behold for sure. So well done on that aspect. But the Diet Coke, the Post-Oak Diet Coke, that was a personal favorite for me.
Yeah, I've been waiting on a cease and desist from Diet Coke for a while now, but it's we're still rocking so far.
You know, I wondered that, but at the same time, it's not a bad thing. There's no bad pub with it. Like, you're rocking. And I mean, heck, I think it'd be probably just as easy as, hey, we serve Diet Coke in the restaurant. Can't be that big a deal. So, you know, tell them to calm down. No, that's not legal advice. Please don't take that, because I'm not going to tell them that.
I'm keeping their light bill paid, so they can.
Doggone right they are. Somebody needs to know how much Diet Coke you're taking in there, don't they? Hey, we're going to take another real quick break right here, and we'll come back. Welcome back, guys. Again, we have Cooper from Bar A Barbecue in Montgomery, Texas, and it's been a fun time here going into this. What does 2026 look like, Cooper, for you guys going forward? I know you said y'all have opened a second unit. Does a third unit ever appeal to you? Do you think, hey, I'm maxing out on what I can handle, or where does that line get drawn in the sand of, hey, this is what I want to do?
My focus is I really want to. We're going to end up. We've already captured the name for it. We've gotten the legal stuff taken care of, but full scale catering company is next, and then we're going to start working on a pizza concept soon. So we've already gone down as far the road as securing the names we wanted to use for that, and we're looking at locations now and kind of starting that process. So pizza is kind of my next hurdle we want to tackle, because I can't get enough of this hurt with the restaurant world.
It's a pain that you enjoy way too much, isn't it? Why pizza? Where's the compilation of that with how it works with barbecue, or is that just a personal brand that you're wanting to see get off?
I love pizza. My kids love pizza. A lot of the friends that I have now in this world are chefs, and a lot of them are in the pizza world, and it's just kind of another love that I think is really, really, really unique, and I think can be again, it's just something that I think is a good fit for our community. Will be a good asset. So it's just kind of that thing that, hey, this will be really good for the city too. Let's do it. Let's bring it to them.
As I've gotten older, I shared this with some friends the other day. Commercially bought pizza. And maybe I'm going to show my age or my fragileness. I don't know which. Commercially bought pizza has gotten to a point where if I don't eat it before about 1 p.m., it's the heartburn, it's the uncomfortable, it's the whatever. And what I have actually found is when I go to the local joint, and we've got a local Italian place here that has a wonderful calzone, and one of my very best friends makes all his pizza in-house. It doesn't have the same effect. And I don't know what the specific ingredient that is causing me to not feel the warm and fuzzies when I eat pizza the way I used to as a young man. But I come back to, it's got to be something probably in that sauce, preservative, something along those lines. When you're looking at developing any sort of concept, whether it's a new item at the barbecue restaurant, if you're thinking about this pizza line now, what parts of those things relay into we want to be to the greater good of the community, and damn all the other decisions. I'm going to draw this line in the sand because this means the most to me.
You know, there's a lot to unpack on that one, but if you want to do any concept in any community, I think you need to first do your market research and kind of identify, what are people for pizza? What are people paying in Montgomery now? What are they used to paying for pizza now? Most markets, or at least here, it's that like $18 to $30 range. So, you look at I look at it from as we're going down this process, is we have to develop a pizza that can fit within a food cost that's going to allow us to stay within that sell price range, and so it's our job to find and source the highest quality ingredients that can fit within that food cost amount. And there are some ingredients with that, for instance, and I'm using pizza as an example because it's fresh to what we're working on right now. But,
sure.
Just the certain flour that we're going to be using, it's one that no matter what, just like brisket, we're going to use it no matter the cost. It is what it is. We'll figure out how to make our changes elsewhere, but it has to be this because it brings a certain value that we can market and sell and push, and we know makes a really, really high quality product. I think it's really hard, especially in this climate of 2026, to try and open something that's not high quality.
Absolutely.
It's got to be kind of a big focus for you, which it always should be. But I think you can get away with I don't want to say low standards, but mid-tier to slightly high above mid-tier standards. Is maybe your ambiance and atmosphere and guest service are great. Because there's places I go to, man, I eat a ton of sushi because it's like the furthest thing away from barbecue that you can get. And there's several places that serve very average sushi, but man, I walk in, they know my name, they know my order. I sit down, I've got my food in front of me, I don't even order it. They've already got my order, my drink in front of me in 2 or 3 minutes of sitting down.
Right.
And it's like, I don't really care how good the food is. I will go sit there for 3 hours and have a meeting or whatever because they take such good care of me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So just, pizza, it's kind of that thing that I think it'll allow us to kind of have a very homey atmosphere, a lot like barbecue has allowed us to do.
I think that the concept of going out to any sort of meal and eating away from the home, while convenience plays a heavy part of that, I think the consumer has really gotten wise. And like you said, so the importance of flour, that's a non-negotiable. The importance of brisket, that's a non-negotiable. And some people are going to say the importance of atmosphere or service are going to be the non-negotiable. It's funny that you bring in sushi. I recently discovered a local sushi restaurant here, and it's average sushi, a little bit slightly above average sushi. I really enjoy it just because it's a good value for where it is and what it is. My wife's favorite thing is they have the little service robot that comes around to you, and that's what sold her on it. And I was like, this is comical. It's not even a person, and which I get, and they only come to your table like once or twice. But I think each consumer has that value, but at the root of it, we're still going to have that one element that we want to see. And I think I'm much more aware now with what hospitality sees. It can't always be food cost. I know that when Charlie informed me recently, excuse me, of what his brisket costs currently are compared to what they were when he first started in the business, I was blown away. I did not know that a cost of such an item could rise so quickly and be used the way y'all do it day to day. So I think the consumer is becoming more aware. And so that gives you a unique advantage as y'all start trying to play with those non-negotiables and the parts that you want to make sure represent who you are as a company, as a person, as a restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, It's again a lot to unpack. I mean, it's not it can't all be about the profit, but it also can't all be about the people. There's got to
Yeah.
be a healthy combination. You got to figure out where you can maximize certain areas that maybe are deficiencies over here. And I think there's been a pretty heavy push the last several years to kind of demonize people that are successful within hospitality, that they're these awful people that are making money and doing these things. At the end of the day, guys, every successful business in your area is producing jobs, it's producing income, it's
Mm,
producing, it's allowing people to put food on their table to then go spend more money in your community. It's my duty to make sure that the business is healthy, and some of that time, sometimes that requires us to have to raise a price on a certain thing because we have, at the end of the day, it's a business. We have to make money.
absolutely.
Um, but that means, again, when we get a bad review, and 99.9% of our bad reviews are almost always with the price. You
Mm,
know, um, and I tell our guys, I say, look, it's not really about the dollar amount, guys. We failed to meet the expectations for that value that was at the register.
right.
If someone's
Well
going to
said.
spend $40 on this, it's our fault for not providing enough value in other areas. And maybe it was the food. Maybe we didn't present it the right way. Maybe, who knows? There's a million different things that can go wrong in a restaurant to where a portion of food is not exactly how you want it every time. We're
Right.
fortunate enough to do enough volume that, we're cooking 30, 40 briskets a day. Not every single one of those briskets end to end is going to be perfect. It's our job to present it the best way and to cook it the best way, but it's just the reality of the nature of the beast. Um, so like I said, and again, I'm long winded, but when we get a bad review, it's almost always back to the price, and it's ownership and us, that it's our fault for not presenting it and doing our part to make it worth that value that they had at the register.
I love the way you frame that it's not what we offered as a value, because I know there's a couple of restaurants here in town who have shared some thoughts, if you will, on their price, and literally their wing prices are maybe $1 to $1.50 more than what somebody else's would be. However, that dollar and dollar and a half winds up being that's the tipping point for whatever reason. What I see though as a consumer, I see a much different wing. I see labor, I see flavor. I actually see a physical size difference of the wing. Like, they've got the B grade, C grade, whatever, while somebody's still ordering an A grade box. And I love that ultimately it's going to come down to that value being met or exceeded for what they think that price is. And I just find it unique that the consumer can be that $1 be the part that says to them, well, that wasn't worth it.
To that point, I will die on this hill. You have never, and no one that listens to, I mean, no one has ever gone to a bar, a restaurant, anything, and not even just food, just anything in general. You have never gone anywhere, and if the product or service you received met or exceeded your expectations of what you thought it was going to be, you have never checked the price tag on it. I have
Mm,
never gone to a restaurant, eaten the food, and been blown away by the food and even looked at the damn receipt. I don't care.
right.
And no one does. You only look at it when the food wasn't great. It wasn't hot enough. The server was rude. And maybe that's just 33-year-old young kid doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. I'm an idiot. I didn't balance a checkbook. I don't know, but I have never been around anyone that's had a great experience somewhere and looked at it and go, oh shit, man, that was a lot of money.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If it was a great experience, if you go to a brilliant steakhouse, you know you're going to spend a lot of money. And
Right.
when you go and it's great and the service was incredible, you don't care. You're going to go back there probably 3 or 4 times. You may only go there 3 or 4 times a year,
Correct.
but you're going to go back there because it was great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's there was
Again,
one at
it's people are just more aware and there's higher expectations to meet a bar that's been raised. That's all it is.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, Cooper, where can people find you? Whether social media, your physical address, either one of your units, where can they find you guys to make contact with you down there in Montgomery, Texas?
Yeah, Instagram, we're bar_a_BBQ. It's the same thing on Facebook and TikTok. We're also on YouTube, bar_a_BBQ. We post on everything almost daily. YouTube is once a week. Restaurant is 21149 Eva Street in downtown Montgomery, Texas. The other location I will update when they actually have the address up. So
yeah. Are y'all open? What's y'all's hours? Are y'all the kind that we're open till we sell out, or do y'all keep regular restaurant hours?
We, we do have regular hours posted. Unfortunately, with the nature of what we do, it is until we're sold out.
Yeah.
I will say this though, we rarely sell out before the hours posted. We try our damnedest to not sell out. I do not want to sell out early. We oftentimes cook too much because I don't want to sell out early. We have to pay rent 24/7 if
That's
I
right.
want to collect every dollar we can while we're open. So
absolutely,
we rarely sell out before closing time. Now we may run out of brisket at 3:00 instead of 6, but we try to not do that as well.
Absolutely. I love it. Hey guys, look, our Friday feel good for this week is, unfortunately, some people were not put into your life to evolve, but to remind you of what happens if you don't. Make sure you're out there tweaking yourself, becoming the best version of you daily so that you can become the best person of you next year and the year after that. Y'all know what to do. Find somebody you know, tell them you love them. Cooper, man, we really appreciate you sharing your time with us. Bar A Barbecue, guys, down in Montgomery, Texas. If you're ever in the area, make sure to find them. Y'all know what y'all can do. Y'all can help us out by subscribing, and sharing to our pages and our social medias for Single Tree Nation. And until next time, y'all be good.
Thanks, fellas.